Hello and welcome back to the Daily Workout. This week we've got it titled as Human Centered Hiring, and it's my first guest title. He came up with it. So, Glenn Martin, good morning. How are you?
I'm really good, Angela. Thank you so much for inviting me on the show. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of like kickstarting a week of human-centered hiring. Winning, love that.
Exactly. We had a discussion about October or so last year, didn't we? And all of a sudden it was like, that's such a great phrase. We need to grab that. We need to have a whole week about it. So we've got a week of guests all talking about human-centered hiring. I'm Angela Cripps, the MD of the Recruiting Gym, if you don't know me. Glenn and I just been chatting in the green room. Glenn is 19 years as a recruiter, still recruiting, loving it.
Yeah, super proud. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's the one thing I'm so passionate about, and I really don't mind people calling me a recruiter. I'm very proud of the title.
Yeah, we should be as well. We change people's lives. We've had quite a few conversations in January about the impact recruiters make, not just to people and their lives, but what we can do for companies, but also the economy, everything that's going on. So yeah, we need to be proud about what we do. So let's dig into your brain then. When we say human-centered hiring, what do you mean by that?
So I need to give you a little bit of a backstory, just a brief backstory to kind of give you a bit of context. So human-centered hiring was born out of, I guess, my reflections on how I've recruited over the last 19 years. So one thing I think I always intuitively did was really kind of focus on what we now know to be candidate experience. I was always very focused on the individual or individuals that were kind of going through the process and trying to secure that job opportunity. So I indexed highly on comms. I really got to know them and invested in them as individuals. And the net result of that is you build really strong relationships across, what would be termed as a kind of candidate pool or group of individuals. But actually what I found was people were coming back to me for kind of advice and guidance once I'd kind of placed them or they'd been unsuccessful and moved on to other opportunities. So kind of candidate experience was something I'd always just done naturally. And then I started to kind of move into the kind of freelance space and explore what kind of talent brand or that talent brand advocacy. So people were supporting and promoting some of the opportunities that I was kind of sharing and recruiting for and referring people to me. So that kind of born out of that real focus on candidate experience was that advocacy, which is now what we would term as kind of talent brand advocacy, or my brand, or the brand of the clients that I was really sort of, kind of working and partnering with. And then this piece around values-based hiring became a real hot topic within the kind of recruitment industry. And I kind of realized that I had elements of that in terms of what I was doing. I was kind of trying to match these individuals with the culture of the business and really sort of explore that. So it wasn't until I sort of established, never mind the job spec, that human-centered hiring was actually a thing. It was a combination of all these things that I was doing, and I actually started to really put some structure around that. So now that I could refer to human-centered hiring as the dynamic combination and intersection between candidate experience, talent brand advocacy, and values-based hiring. And over the last 18 months plus, we've been on a journey to validate that concept essentially, and really partner with different startups and scale ups to trial different ways of really enhancing human-centered hiring. So that's the kind of context. I mean, it wasn't something I arrived at immediately, like bing. It was a process.
This has been a process, and I love the fact that you've got those three different elements, each one in themselves really, really important to the whole recruitment process. And well, I'm sure in a lot of places don't get the focus that they need. And even if companies, if everyone did just one of those, it would make a difference to the industry, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's an investment of time. It's an investment of kind of energy, and it's a collective investment. So it's not just the recruiters or the talent acquisition team, it's the hiring team, it's the business. It's everybody needs to buy into the concept of human-centered hiring, know their part, their role, contribute to it. to really make it work. And what we found, as I say we, as in the team, what we found over the last 18 months is we were able to do elements of human-centered hiring to differing degrees based on the kind of client's requirements and appetite for that as well, right? Not every client's going to be like, okay, cool, yeah, values-based hiring is really important to me. So you have to, kind of map that to the client's appetite. And the project we're just about to finish up was the first project where we were able to do everything. The client was just super adventurous, really ambitious and brave, and was like, let's just do it all.
Can we give them a shout out, please? Because companies like that need to be promoted.
Yeah, 100%. So it's a company called Garden Vets at Kiel, and they are a veterinary practice essentially that is really, they are creating a very new approach to the delivery of patient care within the veterinary industry sector, which I think is, if you think about a sector that's been incredibly traditional for a long time, what Garden Vets at Kiel are doing is very ambitious. It's going to be very challenging, but actually their mission and the values, the genuine values they have, are really absolutely embedded into their approach. And it was actually Katrina Collier, who you'll be speaking to later this week, who kind of introduced us to us. And we were like, we primarily work with tech companies. The veterinary industry sector is not something we've touched upon before. But actually, the first conversation with the CEO, we didn't even talk about veterinary, tech, recruitment. We just talked about values. Yeah. And that was the bit that I was kind of bought into.
That is interesting, because I'm sitting here and I very, very rarely work outside the recruitment industry. I might work with large companies, Amazon being the largest, but we're still working with their resources and their recruiters. We're still working with their internal teams. The only time that I can think of in the last 20 years, maybe, that I've worked outside of that is with 2 veterinary companies. So what is that all about?
You know what? I think for me, it's been such a wonderful experience to learn more about the veterinary industry sector, and less the industry, but the people in it. The kind of vet surgeons, vet nurses, the kind of support teams. They just have such incredible stories of, and they've been on such an incredible journey, because they are invested based on their passion for animals. They're not in it for the wage, the retirement plan. There's no such thing as a bonus. They are just such passionate individuals. But actually, what's almost happened around them is this kind of industry sector is kind of almost, it's become so traditional and less kind of progressive. So things like mental health and well-being is something that's starting to be talked about, but you don't see a lot of companies really focusing on, offering activities and support around that beyond a free helpline and stuff. So there's a lot of change to happen. There's a real appetite within the industry and the people for that change to happen. And I truly believe Garden Vets at Kiel will be part of that change. They'll be leading that change. And change is hard. It is hard. It's difficult. But I do think that they have the people really to make it happen.
That's fantastic. So the values piece is obviously critical, and from the top down as well, isn't it? It's making sure that it's throughout the business and people live the values. I love writing it into onboarding programs. I've got a webinar on Wednesday, and that values piece, to make sure that part of people's probations, they actually are already living it and they understand it and they know what the companies are, and they're being able to give ideas and as to how the company can be better, but they're also giving evidence of where they've lived the values and how they understand it. I think that's critical. So the other 2 elements then, obviously you've got the holy grail with the vet company with all 3, but give us an example of where one of the other 2 have really hit home with you as well.
In terms of talent brand advocacy and candidate experience,
maybe working with a company that's brand advocacy.
So
really,
I give a shout out to the mothership and the team there. They're an aggregator, like e-com aggregator business that we worked with in 2022 into 2023, and they really, I mean, they were again very ambitious around kind of how they wanted to approach recruitment. And actually, from a talent brand advocacy perspective, we created a kind of candidate experience that led to an individual. And you might remember this from the event we were at last year, where an individual had gone through the process. She'd been unsuccessful. We'd given her kind of feedback, and she went on to LinkedIn, posted the job, and encouraged other people to apply for the job, even though she hadn't been successful, because she'd had such a positive experience. She said, even if you don't get the job, you're going to get a lot of value through going through this process as I did. And that is still the kind of shining example of talent brand advocacy for me. And that was not asked for, that was not anything we expected. That was just something that individual felt really kind of inclined to want to do. With kind of no direct benefit for her, but really thinking along the lines of currently encouraging others. And we've started to have that with Garden Vets at Keele now, in terms of the sort of talent brand advocacy across social around people's experience of the kind of recruitment and hiring process, which is, again, it's not something you can control, it's not something you can manufacture or ask for. People have to feel inclined to do that. And then there's obviously the internal way of us kind of understanding how we're tracking around sort of brand advocacy through pulse surveys. So we pulse survey individuals at the kind of mid and end point of the process to make sure that we're getting it right, and we're getting the message across, so it really resonates with the individuals that are investing their time in the process. And I think candidate experience for me has been a consistent one all the way through everything. Every client we partner with, the feedback on their general candidate experience is really high. And the one thing still, Angela, no surprise to you here, the one thing that people really appreciate is transparent communication.
Yeah.
It's not difficult. This is not rocket science. There's a number of things that build into the candidate experience around how we create kind of applicant packs for them, how we share information, everything that we do to really inform the process. But communication is the one thing that everybody just really appreciates.
Yeah, it's a
so simple
to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it does get missed. But yeah, having those conversations, and some of them will be difficult, but you'll feel so much better after it. And if you can give them some key information as to what's happening, even if nothing's happening, that's what's happening. Yeah. Let them know. But that talent brand advocacy from a recruiter's point of view, people might be sitting there and say, well, how does that work with me? Because, it's a personal brand from there. You will know that you've got it. And it comes back to the candidate experience as well. If you have worked with a candidate and you didn't place them, but actually they come back to you the next time that they want a job, you're the one that they choose because of what a great experience they had and how you treated them. I used to love that, because you think, okay, yeah, I didn't even put you in that job, but you're the one that's advocating for me, and you're the one that's coming back and telling people to come to me, so you can 100%. See that happen.
Yeah. I mean, look, just if you want to kind of understand where your talent brand kind of advocacy is, the levels you have, ask yourself this: how much of your business is referred?
Yeah.
100% of our business is referred.
Wow.
So
we did the analysis on this. We had 6 different desks, yeah. And the desks that were really running smoothly, that were brilliant, that were doing really successful, we could see there was 80% referral rate. So 4 out of the 5 candidates had come through referrals. So we just always focused on that, because we knew those people, 1, they already think you're quite good before you even start. So 2, if your balls up a little bit, they let you get away with it because they know it was a mistake. It wasn't.
Yeah, exactly right.
And they're going to do the same. So they got their job through a referral. So of course they're going to refer other people as well, because they know that it works. And it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point, isn't it? So we had Justin here on Ask the Coach on Friday. So we were talking about feedback and working with hiring managers and how that can be different. But he's got stats specifically on those referrals and what placements get made out of it through their system, Recruiter Insider, and all about the feedback and the candidate experience. That's where that company came from. It was all about focusing on candidate experience, but it's both sides now. And it can can make such a difference.
Yeah,
Little tweaks, little things.
exactly. And to be fair, you can have a platform in place to look at those kind of analytics, or you can use the kind of native analytics. I mean, we're a big user of Notion to create the kind of applicant packs, attendee packs, and stuff like that. And you can see the kind of click-through rates and open rates and stuff like that on Notion. So, there are ways and means of kind of really sort of seeing how your kind of content that you're creating for the individual, the candidate, is resonating with them, and how much interest there is. And we're always asking for feedback on that, because it's not just we're not just sharing a kind of job description here. We're sharing a kind of an opportunity canvas. So all the social media, video content, so they don't have to go searching all over the internet for all these different things. And we put a lot of time into kind of FAQs and answering questions in advance that we know they will have, to build on the transparency. Transparency is key for us, because ultimately we're building within that candidate experience a two-way information flow. That individual needs as much information about the opportunity to make a decision as we need information around them to kind of make a hiring decision. So that's super important.
Definitely. We could talk all day, Glenn. I'm sorry, but
yeah.
But we have got the rest of the week to discuss this with other
Amazing
people and what it means.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you for starting and kicking this off and bringing this term to us, because we're just going to use it more and more and more. Wonderful. And apologies, everyone. I had the wrong screen up, so I didn't see everyone saying hello. So good morning. Hello, everyone. Lovely to see you all there on a Monday. We'll be back tomorrow morning with Roisin O'Connell. We'll be speaking to her then. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.